Okay, so that's one. I think that was a decent explanation on how to farm a particular Warframe. So the other parts that I wanted to touch on is just first, it's just some basic. What is your arsenal? Okay, so you're looking at the Harrow Warframe, which you get from, again, playing a particular quest and doing a bunch of other stuff to get the different parts for Harrow, which is a great Warframe in my opinion. If you go to Harrow and then you hit upgrade or you hit triangle, you come to this wholly complicated mod section, right? So if I hit R1, it's a different set of mods. Another R1, another, no sets, of course I didn't place any mods here. So what does a mod do? So if you go to no mods, you can look at the numbers here. It says armor 150, energy, health, shield, whatever, everything's in red because I removed all the armor pieces that were on these slots. So if so this particular slot is the aura slot. That's your aura, or like what your Warframe does in general with your team, with your other teammates, or sometimes specifically for you. So if you go to the aura mode, so okay, let's go back to config C, and these are all the mods that you have, right? These are all the mods that you have. You hit R1, you go to only the aura slot. So say for this one, rejuvenation, you select this aura mod. Let me just highlight it first. So you highlight this aura mod. It says team health regenerates at +3 heal rate. So you and your team, while playing a mission, will regenerate health. It's quite obvious. It will regen health at 3 per rate. So if you can place it, it gives you that particular aura. And it doesn't change your base stats, but that's your like aura stat, which does not show up over here, kind of. So you go to all again. Okay, so the other thing is energy. Energy is like your abilities, right? So if you have more energy, the more abilities you can spam in the mission. So I do want to have more energy, of course. Who doesn't want to spam more abilities, right? So I can select this mod, which is called Prime Flow. There's also a normal version of this particular mod called Flow. So Prime Flow can be gotten from a vendor that comes every 2 weeks in a particular planet node, but the vendor will announce it that, oh hey, I'm here, come and buy stuff from me. So the vendor will tell you that, hey, I got some stuff you want to buy, you can come and get it from me. So this is what I got from the vendor. His name is Barrow. So Barrow comes every 2 weeks and he gives you stuff. Well, doesn't give you stuff, you gotta buy stuff from him for in-game currency, not through like microtransactions. So I can select that mod, place it here, and it gives me increased energy. So now the energy is not red anymore, it's positive. So the other stuff is duration, efficiency, range, and strength. So what is duration? Duration, again, the duration of your abilities. So how long will your particular ability, if it is duration associated, if it is duration build, I mean if it is associated with duration, that particular ability, how long will it last? So for that, to increase that, you have this another prime version of this mod called Continuity. Gives you plus 40% ability duration. You place that, you get slightly increased duration, right? So on and so forth. So you can see when you highlight this particular mod, it has these small blue dots right at the bottom, right here. So mine is missing the 3 blue dots at the end. That means those 3 nodes have not been maxed out. So that again needs a particular in-game currency called Endo and credits, which is just the regular credits, which is shown over here. So you can see the credits you have, but for this particular thing called Endo, you select square. So from here, go back. So from that, not this one, go over here, come on. Okay, so from this screen, you press square, it goes to your mods, and you can select a particular mod and start fusing into selected mod. So select that, and now I hit R1, max rank, L1, back to this rank 7, R1, So okay, so that gives you the max rank, and it'll give you the cost. So rank 10 cost will cost me 35,000 endo, and I have only 4,000. But of course I have to farm more of endo to get more of that. So you can increase it 1 or 2 ranks. No, actually I cannot. So I'm definitely gonna need a lot more endo to get to the max rank for this particular mod. So that will increase my duration from rank 7 at 40% increased duration to a whopping 55%. No, it's not whopping, but it's definitely a big increase in duration of my ability. So that'll max my ability for this particular Warframe when I hit the first ability, of course. So that's a really cool way to mod your particular Warframe. So you can play in whatever way you want. If you want increased duration on your Warframe, you can do that. If you want increased efficiency, which means the amount of energy used, you can do that. You can increase the efficiency, you can use less energy and do more abilities for less energy, of course. That'll just make your Warframe stronger, more powerful. You can do max range. Mine is at 52 because I don't really care about range in this particular build for my particular Warframe called Harrow. I can have more strength, so I can increase these different mods here. This one here, where does it go? Narrow-minded, of course, that gives the ability duration. I can increase the ability duration even more, so that the ability lasts for even longer. If you go to this one, I'm actually thinking this one I'm using. I have Intensify. Don't really have much strength mods for this one, but in general, like if I was to use more strength, I would select this particular mod. It's called Blind Rage. Has 63% ability strength. So if I land this here, you can see the ability strength going up. So the strength of the ability, or how much damage it outputs per second, so to say, that can go up. So I can select that Blind Rage over here, go over here, start fusing. So at rank 6, it's at 63% ability strength and uses less efficiency. Of course, you have one negative, you have to give something. For these particular mod types, you lose something but you gain something at the same time. So it's a good positive, good negative. I mean, maybe not a good negative, but a huge positive versus a decent efficiency decrease. It's fine. You can do something else in the game to get more efficiency. But if I keep increasing this, that's 99% ability strength. That's a huge increase in ability strength. And if your buddy is using another frame called Trinity, you can keep getting more energy. So you don't have to worry about like getting energy off and using energy faster. That means less efficiency. So you see, there's different things that are happening to the mod system. When you're a new player, you're trying to understand these things, that what can I do to these mods that can make my build the best there is. Of course, as a new player, you won't have some of these mods, but after like a month, 2 months of grinding, playing, doing specific missions, doing specific team co-op plays, the co-op runs, co-op missions, and stuff that you do in Warframe. There's several things to explain in Warframe. I don't want to rush everything in the same video, of course, but this video is about the mod system and some basic things in Warframe which really stand out to me and why I am gonna be making Warframe videos. And it's nothing against Destiny. I am still a fan of Destiny 2, and I'm still a fan of Bungie, and they still do great things, but man, Warframe. And this is just the mod system. I'm just talking about the mod system and how it really changes the way you play. How mods really mean something in Warframe. And if you take a weapon, if you take a Warframe without any mods, and you go into a mission, you're gonna feel a huge difference. You're gonna feel a huge difference if you use a particular mod or if you don't use a particular mod, or a particular set of mods, so to say. So that's one huge bonus that you see and a reward as a player who understands the mod system, while someone who does not. So that's definitely a thing to understand. So yeah, so continuing on with the modding system, so you can see the other thing that you see here are these green check marks. Not a green check mark, I mean the green versus the red on this mod. So what does that mean? So if you empty these slots again, you're gonna see they have these tiny symbols at the top: minus, let's call this a V. This is the other V. Well, let's call this a D. This is a V. This is a dash, V, and a D, right? So that means that this particular mod slot has a V polarity. This particular mod slot has a V polarity. This one is a D polarity. Okay, V, D, bleh. Okay, sorry. So what that means is that you can only you can put any other polarity into any other polarity, but that will cost you the mod cost. So you see this particular mod has a 9, number 9 on D associated with it. That means this particular mod has a drain of 9. What that means, if you place it from its storage to this slot, of course it does not use up any, it just gives you the value of 9. So it drains off 9 from this capacity that you have here. So it says capacity 51 of 60. Remove this, that's back to 60, right? So you have a whole of 60 for your particular mods, particular set of mods. So you can use this, land it there, uses up 9 out of that 60. If you put it from here to incompatible, so to say, red means bad, it's gonna use up even more of that drain of that capacity. So of course you don't want that. So you want to land the right polarity into the right polarity slot. That gives you, in fact, a decrease in the cost. So if you place a 9D mod into the correct slot, the game rewards you by reducing the drain by 4. That's really awesome. That means you can fit in more mods into your slots by having and matching the right polarity to the right stuff. Right polarity to the right slot. And that's really complicated for some people, and I understand that, because it was complicated for me. So for example, this particular mod slot is dash, so there are slots, there are classes here. Go R1, Aura slot, augment not that, Exilus is something else, Madurai, Vazarin is D, dash is Naramon, and Xeneric is something else. It's also there. It's most of the slots, but most of the slots will be Naramon, Vazarin, or Madurai. Okay, so these 3 different polarities. Most of your Warframes will come with these polarities. The Aura slot will have a polarity. The different slots, if it's a normal farmed frame, it will have this polarity. Even if you buy it, of course. Even if you buy, say, the Sarin that I showed you earlier, if you buy it, it'll have this polarity. Right, so if you want to maximize the amount of drain on your mod slot capacity, you want to of course match the right polarity to the right mod slot, and that'll in fact reward you by decreasing the amount of drain that happens on that mod slot. So what are these different polarities? Okay, so to explore that, let's click R3. So it says R3. I don't like what they did with the cursor. So the bottom right, you can see over here, it says R3 mods, remove all back. So I'm going to hit R3 on this different mod set. So hit R3. So it sets up this thing called auto install. Of course, when you're a beginning player, it's a good idea to use auto install on your mod systems. So it just automatically gives you everything, and you just don't need to worry about it. You just play the game. Through the beginning parts of the star chart, you're actually not gonna worry too much about what kind of mods you have where, and just play the game. But eventually you want to make your own builds and do your own thing with the mod application or installation. So the other thing with the polarity is this thing called polarization. Now polarization requires a particular material called forma. Now forma, or it's short for formatting. Forma can be gotten from playing the game, obviously, but you can also buy it for 30 platinum, which is microtransaction. In my opinion, it's best to farm it. It's best to farm forma, or it's best to farm the blueprint for forma. there are some high-level missions. There's a puzzle mission on a moon called Lua in the star chart, where you can actually do. Actually, it's not Lua. Well, yeah, Lua has some puzzles which you can do and maybe get a forma. This, of course, is a 2% drop chance from a particular thing, from a chest, so to say. Very low drop chance rate, but the easiest way to get forma is actually keep planning for forma. And I say planning because you have to get a forma blueprint. Now, forma blueprint requires several different things. A forma blueprint will require let's go over here. I don't think I have any forma blueprints. Do I have any forma blueprints? You can just select R3 and say L3 and say forma. Nope, no forma. Okay. So everything you see here requires forma. That's why it came up in the search. So forma can be gotten from these missions right over here. Forma blueprint, I mean. Forma blueprint can be obtained, say, from these different missions called Void Fissures. As a beginning player, you're most welcome to do these missions. You're almost required to do these missions to stack up on your forma. You may not worry about, making your Warframe. You may not worry about like modding your Warframes right now, but you should have a stack of forma. So if I select it, several of these weird brown things come up, of course, right? So you might already have them by playing like the game for like a week or 2 weeks. It just drops for you from different missions. I think you get to Mastery rank 3 to get them. But yeah, so a lot of them will have a reward. It says possible rewards on the side. So a lot of them will have a forma blueprint as a reward. Right here. So Lith V2. It's one of the vaulted relics. It has a forma blueprint as a very low rate of low chance. You don't use that. You want to use something that is a high normal rate of drop. For forma blueprint, it's kind of low. Oh, right here. Lit T1. I have a bunch of Lit T1s, 15 of them. So you can see on the right side here, forma blueprint is one of the really high drop chance rewards. So you can easily get the forma blueprint if you run these missions maybe like 5-10 times, and you have a bunch of forma blueprints. So you use those forma blueprints, you come to this segment of your orbiter and hit square on your on all. You just hit L3 and search forma. Doesn't show up for me, but will show up for you if you have forma blueprints. I used up all my forma blueprints, which reminds me I've got to do that today. So you hit so you get forma blueprints, you make them. It takes 24 hours to make them. So that's what I meant by saying planning. You gotta plan for doing these sorts of things, which I really like. I generally like planning stuff, so I generally like planning stuff in Warframe, and I kind of keep a forma backup at all times, so I never run out of forma. I at least have 5 forma with myself at a time. So yeah, so if you want to add a polarity, of course, like we were saying, how to increase your mod capacity, right? So you want to use up as much as your mod capacity as much as possible, but also use more high-end and higher tier and higher rank mods. So how to do that? So to do that, you first, of course, say for a max rank transient fortitude, which gives you 35% ability strength at like mid rank. How can you make this into a higher tier mod and still fit it into your build? So if you select that, max tier transient fortitude gives you 55% ability strength and lessens your ability duration. Of course, it's a negative, which you'll have to do with if you use transient fortitude. But how can I fit this really expensive in terms of drain capacity? How do I use this in my build and not, use up all 60? The only answer to that is forma. So say everything in my mod slots are full, and I don't have any space at all. So I go ahead and forma this particular slot. I hit square. No, not wrong one. I hit R3. I hit R3 and I say polarize. That will polarize a particular mod slot. This one. R3 again. Come on, R3. Hit polarize and hit X once. Gives you this particular polarity, the V polarity, or the D polarity, or the dash polarity, right? And if you hit apply, that's gonna make this mod slot into a V polarity. I mean a dash polarity, or whichever polarity you want. Don't want generic. So yeah, so if I hit apply, it's gonna change it from an unpolarized slot to a polarized slot. Now what that will do is reset my Harrow from rank 30 to 0. So that means I need to take this rank 0, right now it's max rank, so now I have to take this rank 0 Harrow and re-rank him up again. So that's again resets your progress on a particular Warframe, but eventually makes you stronger after you max it out again. So you do that over and over again. You fit in so many mods into your particular Warframe that you make an almost invincible Warframe, so to say. As you can see here, I still need to max out my duration narrow-minded build, increase duration even more. Here I'm using quick thinking. That's another mod which actually is really useful. So I'm kind of close to actually really making my final Harrow build for Eidolon hunts, which is another set of boss fights that's on one of the free roam planets. If you go to generic build I was making, you can increase narrow-minded, prime continuity. I can increase a few things here, I guess, and still increase more strength and increase range, and not so much worry about duration as much as possible, as much as I would like. So yeah, so that's how you min-max, well, not kind of min-max, kind of max out your Warframe to make it even more powerful. Let's not talk about these things right now today, just the mod system. You won't have these things as a beginning player. You won't have arcanes kind of unless you buy them, which you really shouldn't at this point. You should discover them as you go along. The other thing was this particular slot. You're gonna see these slots empty sometimes and it's gonna be locked. So this slot gives you another added advantage to your particular mod setup, right? So this is called the Exiles slot. So if you go down here and then R1 augment, R1 again, it says Exiles slots. Now this gives you a bonus on top of your bonuses. For example, Power Drift gives you plus 15% strength, plus 30% chance to resist knockdown. I use this kind of sparingly. I use Cunning Drift a lot more. Sometimes when I'm farming stuff, I use Master Thief. It unlocks most lockers that you see in the map. Rush gives you increased sprint speed, so you can even land this into the slot and gives you increased sprint speed. It won't show up in your basic stats, but it'll give you increased speed while in a mission. Patagium also does the same thing, increased movement speed. So yeah, so that's another thing called Exiles slot. Sometimes DE has these different missions every month or so that gives you a free Exiles adapter. So again, another thing is an Exiles adapter. You get an Exiles adapter blueprint from an NPC on one of the relays and you buy it. You make it just like Forma. You collect the materials, you collect it, and you make an Exiles slot. And you increase that particular, and you put that adapter into that slot, and that increases your mod capacity even more. So yeah, so that was all about mods for your Warframe. So I think I'm gonna just deal with that today. I think that was a lot to handle, just dealing with understanding how the mods in a Warframe works. It's just Warframe, not your weapons, not even the weapons. We'll get to that some other day. So yeah, so that's all about the modding system in Warframe, which I think is really awesome and different than some other games that I've played. It's really rewarding to get these high-end mods. It's really rewarding to farm these high-end mods and then get them and finally put them into your Warframe and feel satisfied that now I can really encounter some high-level enemies and stand my ground and get better drops. So it's kind of like what all games are about, right? Is make yourself powerful as you go along and play the game. So yeah, so that's been me. Gonna be making more Warframe videos. I really enjoy this game. It looks frankly really awesome. It has changed a lot since July 2016 and I have progressed a lot more. If you want to check me out, you can look me up on Warframe and show me my profile right here. So You can look me up on Warframe. Arts Live 83. Still in the Power Galactic. That's our continuing clan from our Destiny universe. You've reached rank 9. I might in fact show the clan dojo someday, which is the clan social space. But you can look me up, and I frankly play almost every day, if not every other day. Hit me up, Arts Live 83, add me on Warframe, and yeah, so that's been me, and I'll see you guys next time.